This is Rugby Unity. I am David Pembroke, and Bella McKenzie, Nostradamus, you picked it and you described it and you explained it. Canada, way too good for New Zealand in a devastating first half performance.
Yeah, I think we said it at the start. Canada were going to be our smokies for the tournament, and to come out the way they did throughout the tournament, they built, and then that semi-final performance, especially that first half, is something they can really look to keep building into this final. And I think scoring 4 tries against the Black Ferns in a first half of footy is devastating, as you mentioned earlier. So I'm keen for the big one this weekend.
In the teams that you've played with over the years, when you've come out and you've played like that, what generally is it about the week leading up to the match that has led to those strong performances?
I think when everyone's on the same page, you have a clear understanding of the game plan, 1 to 23, 1 to 30, I guess, because the DD is not playing that week, has to prepare you for the game. And I think some of the games you felt more satisfied is when you do the game plan, you stick to it, and then it pays off and you end up winning. So I'm sure Canada have had probably the same game plan throughout this whole tournament: carry hard, run up the guts, and then get those backs using the ball out wide, which is working for them. So until we can see a team really slow down their breakdown, I think keep sticking to their game plan, keep sticking to what's working.
So their coach, Kevin Rouet, who is a Frenchman, has been described as a genius in some of the commentary and some of the reportage this week. And clearly, I don't know if he's a genius or not, but he's clearly a very good rugby coach, and he seems to have got them into a style of play which suits the skillful players that they have from 1 to 15 when they're playing on the field. Do you know much about Kevin Rouet?
I don't know too much about him. I've versed Canada a few times and obviously shook his hand after a game, but just from an outsider looking in, I think he is really clear with what he wants and the type of player he really wants, and you can really see that on the field. You mentioned from 1 to 15, they're rugby players. They know how to play rugby. They can throw those offloads, and I think he's really got them humming at the right time. And I know he's just been extended through to 2027. So he's been there for a while. I think he's been there since pre-2022 World Cup, or just got appointed before 22 World Cup. So to see how they did in that World Cup, I think they ended up coming 4th, and then now they're 2nd in the world and about to play in a World Cup final this weekend. So credit to him, I guess.
82,000 people at Twickenham for a team like Canada, who would never have played in front of a crowd like that, and the overwhelming majority will be there in support of the home team, the Red Roses. How do you think that they go about this week? How do they block out the noise, and how do they stick to themselves, and how do they go about their preparation? Do you believe that they won't, you said before, there won't be any type of change to it? They'll just go about their business? Yeah,
I think so. We've seen it works for them. So I'm sure they have a plan B if England can get their back rowers over the ball and slowing down the breakdown, which I'm sure that they will do, because that's what the English back row love to do, get those jackals. And you've got Hannah Botterman as well, who's really good at getting turnovers, Meg Jones in the backs. But I think stick to what you know, and I don't think it'll be overwhelming for the Canadians at all. I think they're just going to go about their business as usual, and all pressure is on England. It's a home World Cup final. It's what they wanted, 32 wins in a row, and I think if Canada can just stick to their guns, stick to what they know, it'll be a really close game. And I'm going for Canada. I hope they can beat England at home at Twickenham.
So not only the 32 in a row, but in fact, England have won 62 of their last 63 test matches. And it's fair to say that while they have stacked some pretty good wins throughout the tournament in terms of the scoreboard, they haven't quite been at their best. Their forwards certainly very impressive, but the back line has not been as effective as you would expect that they may have been going into the tournament. The players and the quality of the players seems to be there, but the lack of a cohesion and effectiveness has been part of their performances so far?
Yeah, I think for England, they have been a bit underwhelming this tournament in terms of their expansive play, but England do what they do best. Once they're in the 22, they have the highest percentage of conversion rate. They always can go back to their maul and their line out and set piece, which we know wins you rugby games. So I think for their backs, they just need to kick them into the right areas of the field against this Canadian team. You've got Mo Hunt, who's probably one of the best nines in world rugby at the moment. She's got a really great kick on her, and Zoe Harrison, the 10, she's got a great boot on her as well. So I think for them, they're going to play a really boring game of rugby and try and pin Canada in their half and then look to their set piece to try and win the game that way. I don't see England going around Canada with their backs, as you mentioned. And I think the forwards it's a very close matchup physically. So whoever gets the ascendancy up there will probably be able to throw the ball a bit wider and get into those edges and those wide channels. But yeah, I think for England, they can always go back to their plan A, route one, which is set piece.
But clearly, Canada will be looking to deny them both the territory and the opportunities, and the discipline of the Canadian side last weekend was remarkable, that they did not concede a penalty until the 61st minute. So how is it that you can take that away with your discipline? How is it that you can deny England the territory? Because as you say, once they get that line out and the rolling maul off the line out, they're technically very good and they're very hard to stop. Yeah,
I think for Canada, you don't want to get into a kick battle with England. They don't have a very strong kicking team, Canada. They're very much a run first team. And when they do kick it, they tend to keep it in field. So you don't want to be giving Ellie Kildunne any counter-attack opportunities there, because that is going to get England some territory. But yeah, I think if they can really keep their defence solid, as we saw against the Black Ferns, they didn't really impose their line until the second half. And after those penalties, you see teams start to creep into your half with just kicking for touch, kicking for corners, and looking to their set piece. So yeah, if Canada can stay really disciplined, and to not concede a penalty to the 61st minute is like a coach's dream. So I'm sure that they'll be trying to, emulate what they did against the Black Ferns against England.
There's some key players in the match, aren't there? When you look at the England team, Hannah Botterman for England, the big loose head. She's a delight to watch, isn't she? Like, she is such a good rugby player, because it's not only is she, solid as a rock in the scrum, and she does her meat and potatoes work in the forward pack, but she's got the touch of a fly half, and just some of her, the way that she distributes the ball, and that neat little pass that she was able to push on to Ellie Kildunne for the first try for England against the French. She is a real all-action player, isn't she?
Yeah, well, you speak about Canada's forward pack being skillful. I think England are probably the forward pack when it comes to skill level. And I've seen some of their tries through Six Nations where they go through the hands and it's the whole forward pack and the back rower scores on the edge. So, yeah, I think Canada have really tried to not copy and paste, but bring their own kind of style to the forward pack, having that skill level. And England are probably a bit more traditional in their shape, and they can pull those balls out the back, those tip balls. And then once you're on the footy field, everyone can play footy. So, yeah, I think it's a credit to both teams. It's probably, number one, number two versus each other this weekend. And I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, it is going to be, perhaps the best game of, rugby ever played in the women's game, when you have two teams who are clearly at the top of their game, and they have had the opportunity to develop into the sides that they are. So where do you think the differences are going to be when you sit back and analyse it? Because if you say that the two packs are going to cancel each other out, perhaps maybe the Canadian line-out rolling maul is not quite as effective as England's. England inside backs perhaps not quite at their best, but then you look at the back three. So let's look at some of those key matchups. So let's go to the two forward packs. Where would you see Canada might be able to get some ascendancy, in which part of the game through their forward pack, when they have players such as Sophie de Goede there leading the charge?
Yeah, as you mentioned, de Goede, you've got Dalika Menon, the tight head prop. She's really good at those pick and goes up the middle, and I think the way Canada can play so fast is because of their breakdown. So if you stop them at the source, which is the breakdown, they they don't know who's there. They just throw the ball out ready. They're 9, Claire. She's really experienced. The breakdown is so quick. She's got the ball and it's gone. So I think if England can stop it there at the source, they could go a long way into winning this game. But I think for Canada, they just need to stick to what they're good at, and that is punching up the middle, trying to get the ascendancy that way. They don't care if the first couple of phases go backwards. They know they're patient and they know that they'll get them on the 3rd, 4th phase. So I think for Canada, they probably will outmuscle the England forward pack just a little bit. I think they're a bit more mobile, a bit more, untraditional in that sense, that they do just like to carry and go forward and get that really good ball placement out for their 9. So I think that's...
Yeah, they've got their pick and go. The leg speed of their forwards is phenomenal, really, when you look at the way that they all go, and they go hard. And when they get their hands on the ball, they're not messing around. They're not standing up to sort of have a bit of a look around. It's like go fast and keep moving as quickly as possible. And that draws the defence in. And then they've got that ability to shift it to their outside backs who, can score and have been scoring lots of tries in this Rugby World Cup. So what about for the England pack? Where can they get their dominance and get deep? How does Canada go about stopping that line out to rolling maul attack that England have perfected? And they do have, big, strong locks, very powerful back row. So if you're Canada trying to take that out, first of all, denying them the opportunity is the first thing. Yeah. But as you say, Harrison's got a good kicking game. Hunt has a good kicking game to get them into those positions. But let's say they get there. What does Canada do to stop it?
I think just stay really disciplined and stay really connected in their line speed. Don't give them any gaps. Don't give them any gaps in the defensive line, because they will throw those tip balls. They've got some devastating ball runners as well. Maud Muir, their tight head prop, she is just as devastating with ball in hand. You've got Abby Ward, who's a really powerful lock. And then their back rowers are probably one of the best back rowers in world rugby at the moment for the women's game. So Zoe Oldcroft at 6, Sadia at 7, and Alex Matthews at 8. They've probably had a bit of a quiet tournament. So I think if they can really unlock their back rowers as well, and they like to play in those edges, those wide channels, and really set up their backs that way. So yeah, I think for Canada, if they can stay disciplined in their line and maybe concede a few meters here and there with England's attack. But I think for England, they'll look to their boot. They'll look to kick early, turn the Canadians around, try and tire them out, make them play out of their half. Because as I said, Canada doesn't have a very strong kicking game. So yeah, I think for England, their fitness is they've ranked number 1 for a reason. They've got a really strong kick chase, really strong defensive line. So I think they'll look to boot the ball early into the corners and make Canada play out of their own half.
It's an intriguing matchup at the scrum base between the two nines, Mo Hunt and Pelletier. What do you expect from both of those players, given that it is such a crucial position? Yeah,
I think Mo Hunt, she is world class. She's been there, done that. It's probably second nature to her playing in these big games. She's 36 years old. She's played in a few World Cups now. So I think for her experience, she really understands the tempo of the game and what they need. So if they're not going anywhere, she'll put a box kick in, or she'll get Zoe to kick them out of trouble. And yeah, I just think her game awareness, her game knowledge is really high, and the tempo at which she plays, when they get down into the 22, she takes over and picks out her strong ball runners. So I think they're really hard to stop in that sense. And then for Claire, she's also just as experienced as Mo, and she has a really strong pass and probably plays a bit similarly to Mo, and has that really great tempo as well, and gets the ball away very quickly once it's out. So probably an even kind of matchup there. You'd probably lean more towards Mo just because of her experience and how many years she's been in that Red Roses team.
But she does like a snipe, doesn't she, Claire Pelletier? She'll be happy to have a go. If she sees a gap, she'll go for it. And that beautiful move that she made last week, where she was able to turn the ball back inside to, I think it was Sophie de Goede, running a really nice tight line close, and I think it did lead to a try. Yeah. So yeah, she's a real handful, and the England back row and Mo Hunt will really have to keep an eye on her because she does, for mine anyway, I've really been super impressed with the way that she goes about her business and the way she organises that forward pack and gets them going. And then she seems to make a lot of very good decisions as to when is the right time. And again, as you say, they're playing to that pattern of pick and go, pick and go, pick and go. Right, go now, go. Yep. And then they do bang, bang, bang. Out to that back three that they have of Hogan, Rochester, Corrigan and Shell. But on the England side, we've got Kildunne, Breach and Dow. What's your assessment of the two back threes? Because clearly, France pushed England all the way, and it really was just that bit of magic from Ellie Kildunne, the two tries that she was able to conjure up. One from a nice little passing sequence from England, but the second one, which was just an out-and-out error that I felt so sorry for the French player, where the ball ricochets, but Kildunne had enough skill to be able to come through, play what was in front of her, pick up the ball, and then run across field for that try, which was at such a critical moment of the game. So how do you assess the two back threes, and what should people be looking for?
Yeah, I think you mentioned Ellie. Her greatest strength is her speed. She has really, really smart rugby, lots of IQ, and she loves to play in those big games. She's a big game player, so can expect her to want her hands on the ball and want her hands on the ball early. She does like to ball play, but again, she's so devastating in those wide channels and can really link up with her wingers. We know her and Jess Breach have a great connection down that left edge. So yeah, we haven't seen too much of their expansive rugby in the latter stages of this tournament. So it depends how they want to play, and I think they will play that boring style. So I don't expect to see their back three getting involved too early. I think they'll be doing a lot of kick chase and putting a lot of pressure on Canada's back three with contestables and that sort of thing. But I think for Canada, their biggest strength is they probably play fearless. They have nothing to lose this weekend. They genuinely are the underdogs. This is probably one of the biggest games a lot of those girls would have played in. I know there's a lot of sevens players who've been to Olympics and whatnot, but playing in front of 82,000 at Twickenham, and everyone's going against you, I think. Yeah, I honestly think they'll take it in their stride and they'll come out and perform. And I think for Julia Shell, she just needs to stay involved in the game and not go in and out of games like she has in the past. So, yeah, if she can get really involved and open up Asia, Hogan, Rochester and Alicia Corrigan on those edges, I think, yeah, they'll get some points out wide.
Yeah, but and Tessier, the captain, at inside centre for Canada, she again is a good player, good decision maker, good distributor of the ball, because I think you do see that sevens influence in that Canadian attack, because they can move pretty quickly, can't they? They can get themselves they can go from sideline to sideline pretty sharply, and they move the ball meg So I would expect that that's going to be difficult for the England outside backs to handle. Although, Meg Jones is from England at 13 is she's nominated as one of the players of the year. So she knows what she's doing, but they've been a handful, haven't they, Canada? That back three throughout the tournament. Yeah,
they have. I think you mentioned Alex Tessier, the centre pairing of Alex and Flo Simons. They're really starting to find their groove, and we saw Flo Simons against Wallaroos. She was devastating in those wide channels, and I think if she can get on the outside of some of those big big English forwards, then they'll have a lot of pay down some of those edges. So it's about winning that first up collision, first phase, second phase, and then looking to go wide. So if Canada can do that, I think, they'll be quite hard to stop.
So I'm going to put it on you. You picked it last week. You are absolutely right on the money, and it sounds like you're heading that way again, heart and head. But I think you've convinced yourself that if Canada play, because they've been the form team. Yeah. I think when you come into tournaments and you play well and you continue to improve, and you get to the point where they did last week with that first half performance against New Zealand, which was as impressive of 40 minutes of football that we've seen across the tournament from any team. You clearly think that is, part of the evidence as to why they should be supported as the winners this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I've just loved the way they've been playing kind of all year. I've obviously not played many international games this year, so I've kind of had a front row seat into watching and analysing games a lot more. And I think I saw the improvement from their very first game against the USA. I think it was in Kansas City, just to the weekend gone. So yeah, I've been super impressed with the way they've gone about their business. They're very, very humble girls. They have made a commitment to each other that they want to go out and win this World Cup. They're grossly under-resourced, but that's because Canada Rugby don't really, that's all they have to offer them. So I can really respect the girls making a commitment to each other. And, they do play full-time in the England Prem, which is really helpful for them. And they're about 20 of the 32 play for France in the France or English comp. So yeah, I've just been really super impressed with the way they've gone about their business. They have never, kicked stones and been like, we don't get this, we don't get that. They're committed to each other. They go about their business, even though they should be paid and deserve to be paid as much as the England team. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been really impressed. I know I've mentioned their coach, Kevin, and I think having De Goede back and Alex Tessier pulling the strings, I think they can really upset England. But I guess for England, what they need to do is starve Canada of possession and play that really boring style of rugby, which I think they will. But yeah, I'm going to tip Canada.
Okay. Give me a scoreline.
I am going to say it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 28-21, and Sophie de Goede is going to kick all her goals. 4 tries, 4 conversions. What do you think?
Okay.
What do you think?
Very good. Well, I'm a bit with you because I like form.
Yeah.
I like teams in form, and it gives confidence. And I do like the look of this coach, and I do like the look of the way that the team has composed themselves, and I do like that they are an experienced team, and they know each other, and they've had, as you say, some of them have had success at the Olympics, so they understand that. So yeah, look, I just think that there's something to like about them going into a World Cup final. And interestingly, on the Rugby Unity podcast with Eddie Jones and Ewan McKenzie, we were having a discussion last week about the 1991 Rugby World Cup, which Australia won. And it was similar in that the Australians played New Zealand in Dublin in the semi-final. And the first half, Australia just completely blew New Zealand off the park. It was the best that I've ever seen an Australian team play in any match. And that, to me, gave that Australian team that confidence and that belief that they then took into the week against England. England were heavily favoured to win that Rugby World Cup, just like this one, going to Twickenham as well. So I just think that the Canadians will take that confidence with them, that momentum with them. I do think it's a big week for England, and the Canadians are too polite to sort of try, to remind them of the pressure that they're under. If it was an Eddie Jones coach team, be all over the media by me, yeah. we would be all over them. We would be reminding them every day of the week. Yeah. Just it reminds me of when we went after New Zealand at the 2019 Rugby World Cup. New Zealand had come out and destroyed Ireland in the quarterfinal, and we were playing them in the semi-final. And we knew we had to do something that week to disrupt them. And we spent the whole week absolutely getting into them, or just reminding them of, yes, you're just reminding them and at them. It was done in a respectful way and in an amusing way, so as that the media picked up every line that we threw out there. But by the end of the weekend, we had them. Yeah. And then we went out and absolutely blew them off the park because we had them thinking during the week about something else other than what they had to do. So anyway, it seems to be a lost art in the sport. So anyway, and maybe the Canadians are being too Canadian, but I would have thought that this week was a good week to maybe for Kevin or somebody in their side to start talking about it. because it's true.
It is true.
You may as well remind them.
Yeah.
You may as well remind them at every opportunity that everyone is expecting them to win. So anyway, but interestingly, they've attracted some great support as well. Shania Twain sending notes to the team, and clearly the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has been supporting. But I came across something that big Russell Crowe, the Australian Russell Crowe, out to his social media following of a couple of million. He's saying he's on Canada. So good on you, Russell. You're on Canada as well. So it really does shape up to be such a fantastic match, World Cup final. And we were right. Holly Davidson has been appointed to referee her second World Cup final after she got the job last time in New Zealand between England and the Black Ferns. She's obviously, this I think is her 45th, 46th test match, so very experienced referee, has had the opportunity to referee the men's game as well. What would you expect from Holly Davidson this week in refereeing that match?
Yeah, she's a very clear and great communicator. I think she lets the game play and interferes when she has to, like all good referees should. So I think she'll kind of just let the game unfold, and she'll probably police the breakdown a lot, because I'm sure England will have gotten her ear this week about something with their breakdown and how quick they need to get over the ball. And I think try and get in her ear early about that. But yeah, I think for Holly, it's credit to her and how many games she's refereed. She's really experienced, and she's the right person for the job. Yeah,
I think I totally agree with you. And I think the officiating in the Women's Rugby World Cup so far has been very assured, very confident, and I think they've done a particularly good job. And Australia's Ella Goldsmith has the responsibility of the refereeing the fourth match between New Zealand and France. So that's obviously great recognition for her refereeing throughout the tournament.
Yeah, it's massive for Ella. She refed our Super W games, then she refed some Shoot Shield games, and then really got her chance during Pac 4. So yeah, I think it's great for Ella. She's a good country girl from Canamble out in rural New South Wales, and used to play with her down at East. And yeah, she's a great referee. She's probably one of my favourite Australian referees that we have. So yeah, it's really huge for her and her family. And yeah, can't wait to watch her do that on the weekend as well.
Yeah, that's great recognition, and congratulations to her. And while we're handing out the accolades, I just want to mention Ricky Swannell, the Sky commentator, who gets I think she's the best commentator in the world.
Yeah, agree. I 100% agree with that.
Men's, women's, I think she has established herself at this tournament as the preeminent commentator of the sport. Yeah. And I do hope that is recognised, and she starts to get more opportunities to call all of the big games. Because, just her preparation, her understanding of the game, her timing, her description, she's a pro. Yeah. And all the commentators have been good, but I just want to pick her out as someone who deserves recognition as well, because it has been a real pleasure to watch the matches so well described. And she just has a great feel for the sport. So a big thanks to her. Now, we're not handing out a trophy like we are for the content creator, and we're going to name it next week. Here it is, the big trophy that's going to be engraved. And the team are working hard on analysing and assessing who we believe to be the number one content creator at the Women's Rugby World Cup, and they will be getting the first, because we're going to give it out at every Women's Rugby World Cup between now and the end of time, because it has been such a feature, of the engagement around this particular tournament, that the way that the women have just gone out of their way to be interesting. They've gone out of their way to show their personalities. They've gone out of their way to engage with the volunteers and the fans and each other, other teams and everybody else. It's been such a delight to see the unity, as Brett Robinson said in one of his remarks this week about the sport. A values-based sport joined together. Great to see, and great to see him promoting the Rugby Unity podcast as well. So just to that third, fourth playoff, before we come to Player of the Year and Breakout Player of the Year, New Zealand, France. I think the great thing is that it's not a Wednesday and it's midday on the Saturday before the World Cup final. So there'll be 82,000 people there to watch the third, fourth playoff. So I think that is a great idea. And I do hope that they do that for perhaps both the men's World Cups as well, because it makes to me an enormous amount of sense to do it all on the one day. That third, fourth playoff on the Wednesday, it's just, it's sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's a sad event.
No one watches it. You don't want to play in it. Who wants to play on a Wednesday, honestly? It's your day off usually.
And so what a great thinking. And again, great initiative from the Women's Rugby World Cup. This is the first time that it's happened. Makes a whole lot of sense. New Zealand, France, really France have been the big improvers, and really with a little bit of luck, a little bit more momentum in the right parts of the game, they could have. Maybe we could have been talking Canada-France this weekend because the difference wasn't so great. New Zealand certainly were overwhelmed by the precision of the Canadians, and it was one of those nights. But certainly they did come back in the second half and show their class. So what's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think obviously this week is really tough for both of those teams. You'd either kind of want to go home or be preparing for a World Cup. But I think we spoke about it last week. What's worse, losing a World Cup or playing in the third v fourth playoff? So, yeah, but I'm sure these teams will want to get up for it and make up for their losses on the weekend in the semi-finals. But I think it's probably a really good opportunity for France to kind of pounce on this New Zealand team, low on confidence, not where they expected that they'd be, which was a World Cup final. I think the way the French play, they just are missing some really experienced players, some of their key players. Obviously, Mané Falou was suspended. But prior to that, this is a really inexperienced French team at a World Cup. So I think if they can play with that without fear, and they kind of have nothing to lose and throw everything at New Zealand, they could possibly get an upset. But yeah, I think for Black Ferns, they just kind of need to go back to what they're good at, which is getting their back rowers punching up the middle and then trying to get the ball wide. I'm not too sure what their game plan was against Canada, but it obviously didn't seem to work. And as you mentioned, they were probably just overwhelmed with how precise the Canadians were. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be a great game. We know both teams love to throw the ball around. It's probably just going to be who can make it stick on the day.
Mm. Yeah, I think it'll be a super entertaining match because I think they will be throwing it about. It'll have a bit of a barbarian feel to it in many ways, in that they'll, it will, they're playing without pressure, so both teams will have the opportunity to really show their best, and they will want to throw it around as much as they possibly can. I've been impressed with the French team throughout the tournament. I think they've built into the tournament well, and they have been impressive. I think this sets a really good foundation for them for 2029 as a young team. Again, third, fourth playoff in front of 82,000 people. That's going to give them some experience that they haven't had before. We now have obviously the women's professional tournament in France continuing to grow and to mature. And with French rugby being as prosperous in many ways as it is at the moment, I think the French Federation will get behind the women's team. We've seen the interest in there. When we were talking about the television numbers last week, they attracted 4.6 million viewers. The top 14 teams suspended the beginning of their games so that everyone in France could watch the team. So there's a lot of big personalities there, I think, in that team that you can get around. Condé is someone who's caught my eye as a real rugby player. So look, they've got some real talent there. But yeah, look, I think New Zealand will want to go to work. New Zealand will be disappointed, and they'll want to come home with a medal. Yeah. They'll want the bronze medal. So I just think that they will have too much for them. And I think going back to your point, getting their back row working again, and then getting the backs involved in the game, I think they'll be super disappointed clearly from last weekend. So I would expect them to bounce back, pretty much like I expect the New Zealand All Blacks will bounce back against the Wallabies on Saturday at Eden Park, but that's another conversation for another time. But yeah, so I would be tipping New Zealand in that bronze medal match. Now, a big feature of the Rugby Unity podcast is your voice, the voice of the crowd, the third voice, as we like to call it here at Rugby Unity. And thank you very much for sending in your comments. And before we come to our last segment, where we're going to put Bella McKenzie on the spot to give us her Player of the Year and her Breakout Player of the Year, your comments. So Peter Hughes, who's been a regular commentator, and thank you so much, Peter, for getting involved, particularly around the women's game. Peter says, England are well coached. They are also big and slow, in my opinion. If either Canada or New Zealand, so it's Canada now, can defend the line out drive, they'll beat England in the final with pace and skill. I'm hoping that France will knock England out. Didn't happen, but don't expect it. So there you go, Peter. Thank you very much. Krippen Musunga says, one thing I've noticed is in the women's rugby, the girls use the ball more in hand than the men, who kick a lot more. And the discipline is on another level as well. No afters, throwing bags and all. So thank you, Crispin. DJ Styles Ali says, I still can't work out how Canada are so good. They've looked and played the most consistently the whole tournament. Their ruck speed is lightning quick, and they make very few mistakes when pushing the ball off quick. Champagne Rugby Canada. So DJ Styles Ali, thank you very much for your comment. And Sassy Holter, again, another regular commentator. Thank you, Sassy. I've been really impressed with this Women's Rugby World Cup. I was at the opening match between England and USA in Sunderland. It genuinely felt like a decent amount of money was being spent on just a single event at a single-use venue. Many stories have been told and shared. Girls from the lesser supported countries have been able to show their skills. There have been good tears, bad tears, controversy, tension, adrenaline, amazing noise, and a different tone of crowd noise. We're not generally known for putting successful big events on in this country, bracket England, but I feel this is showing some of the better parts of what we can do. Well, I don't think there's any doubt that this has been an overwhelming success for England and the RFU. So a big congratulations to them and for the contribution of all the clubs and the communities. And we had Sarah Massey on. And I'd encourage anyone who wants to know a little bit more about how this Rugby World Cup was put together to go back to the Rugby Unity archive and have a listen to that, because you can just feel the diligence that has been applied and the expertise that's been applied to this tournament. So a big congratulations to everybody who's been involved. And Vinny NZ, a final comment, says the bar has been well and truly raised for Australia hosting the next Women's Rugby World Cup. And that is a bar that I know everyone in Australia will be happy to reach for. Australia does have a fantastic reputation for hosting major sporting events. Certainly getting behind women's rugby across Australia. Well, not just women's rugby, but women's sport, whether it's the Matildas, the basketball, the rugby league, the women's AFL. You know, Australia has caught the global women's sport bug. And I would have thought that by 2029 that we are really at a completely different level to even the levels that we've been able to reach now, which will come from more investment, will come from more opportunity. And Bella McKenzie, those changes that were announced by World Rugby last week for World XV or World 15 for next year in the September-October window, what did you think about those? Is it enough? Is it a good step forward as a player? What did you think?
Yeah, it's really positive. You know, World XV started in 2023, I believe, and I always found it strange that I was going to a country and versing England, say in New Zealand, or France in Dunedin under the roof. So I think it's really positive that we get a home and away type fixture against the top other 11 teams in the world currently, because it is the top 12 teams. So yeah, it means a lot more games for the Wallaroos and versing teams that you probably wouldn't be versing as often or if ever. So yeah, I think it's really positive, and I think the way that they announced it, it's really clear and understanding, and it doesn't just mean the top 12 teams play, it means 13 to 18 also play at a centralised location, which is really great for those teams such as Fiji. And yeah, I think it's just more rugby playing at home. It's really positive for the union, so RA can get the commercial investment, they can really push the games and get sort of return that way and revenue that way, which is really positive as well.
Yeah, I just like that idea of it being, as you say, home and away tournament. We know who, people are playing against each other, and we'll know, outside of the obviously the Rugby World Cup is the pinnacle of the sport, but to know that each week there is going to be more competition, playing regularly, more of these great personalities that have been exposed to us through this Rugby World Cup. We're going to see them more regularly. I'm sure they're going to continue to create great content as they have, and there's no doubt in my mind that we have just started. Really, and I've made the point a number of times through this podcast. I do believe post 2022 was an opportunity missed. There was a lot of good vibes, but I think this time around, I think World Rugby's learnt the lesson, and they understand that they've really got to keep at it. And people like us and other media organisations need to keep talking about it, need to keep shining the light on these wonderful personalities, and need to keep at it and not just revisit it once every 4 years. Let's really keep the focus on it, because that is the way that it will grow and prosper. Okay, so your final task before we come back next week to see whether or not you were 2 in a row for Canada is to pick your player of the year and your breakout player of the year. World Rugby this week announced that Georgia Miller, the hot-stepping flanker, former Sevens player from New Zealand, Megan Jones, the tough outside centre, and Sophie de Goede, the mercurial lock from Canada, are the 3 finalists in the Player of the Year. So, Arabella McKenzie, you have the envelope. Who is going to win?
I think if you're looking at the whole year and you're going off consistency, you pick Meg Jones. She started in probably almost every game for that Red Roses team and makes an impact every game. So I think if you're going off consistency, you pick Meg. But if you're going off this tournament alone and literally carrying a team on your back, you've got to pick de Goede. And personally, I'm going with de Goede. I just think she's been instrumental for this Canadian team, and she's only played 4 or 5 games and has been player of the match for me in every single game. So yeah, I'm going de Goede.
Very good. Spoken like a true Australian. A breakout player of the year. Again, Georgia Miller, fresh from winning the Sevens player of the year, has come across to the 15s game, has not played a whole lot of 15s, but certainly electric when she does play, and hard to take your eyes off her when she is on the field. She has been nominated, as has Josephi Naihamu from Fiji, a centre, and Braxton Sorensen McGee, the 18-year-old Black Ferns winger who has led this tournament in try scoring, has led this tournament in line breaks, and again, another player that once she the ball is anywhere near her, you cannot take your eyes off her because the way that she just moves. And again, a wonderful player. So, Arabella McKenzie, your next envelope, who wins the breakout player of the year?
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see a Fijian player, Josephine, the inside centre. She was devastating this year for Fiji with the ball in hand. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess you can't really go past Braxton. And, Georgia Miller has that flair and that she can break a game open that way. But I think Braxton's probably been a bit more consistent this year. And from her debut game against the Wallaroos till now, she's devastating with the ball in hand. She scores a lot of tries, kicks a lot of goals, and can also set up tries as well that we've seen. But yeah, I'm going to go with Braxton. And I don't know, I probably wouldn't call Georgia Miller a breakout player. She's well known on the 7 circuit. Yes, hasn't played 15s much, but yeah, I guess you got to go with the 18-year-old Braxton. What do you kind of think?
Yeah, I'm with you. So that was her. Yeah, it was her debut, wasn't it? Up in Newcastle against the Wallaroos.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's
We played the Blues in that Picky crossover final, and she scored 2 tries against us, and just literally ran past us like a ghost. Like she is just she's an electric ball runner with the ball in hand. She runs fast. She moves well, and she's got a great step, great kick on her. So yeah, I've got to go with Braxton, I think.
But she's also one of those runners, isn't she? That she's going quick, but she doesn't look like she's going that quick.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And you look at why can't you tackle her? It's like, well, she's going a lot faster than she looks like she is on the TV. It's like a Formula One car.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to the Formula One. If you watch it on the TV, you think, oh yeah, no, they're not going too bad. But then when you watch them in real life, they go a lot quicker than they do. And I think she is a bit of a Formula One car, the way that she moves around. So I'm with you. And she's also, I like, she's great on the content as well. We're getting to know her. She has a lot of fun with it all. So I think she's a great personality as well as she is a wonderful player. And we're going to be talking about Braxton Sorensen-McGee for a long time to come. And no doubt by the time 2029 World Cup comes to Australia, she will be an absolute superstar of the game by then. So, wow, there's so much to look forward to, isn't there? And this is just the women's game. Like, we've got all sorts of other things going on this weekend. We've got the Rugby Championship coming back with the Wallabies taking on the All Blacks at Eden Park. We've got South Africa, Argentina at Kings Park in Durban, or it's called Hollywood Betts Stadium now in Durban. But also that all-important qualifier between Samoa and Chile in Vina del Mar in Chile this weekend after they played a draw last weekend. And great to see that it looks like there'll be 24,000 people at that match in Vina del Mar. So this is this wonderful game that we're involved in, people. It is just magic, and it's going to be another fantastic week of rugby union to watch. So Bella McKenzie, you will be up early on Sunday morning to catch all of the action from Twickenham. It will be a great occasion. I am certainly going to be there watching it, every moment of it, and enjoying every moment of it, every part of the celebration and the pageantry and everything that goes with the Rugby World Cup final. It's just such an exciting week for the game. It's tremendous that it's come at the end of what has been a remarkable Women's Rugby World Cup, and it will be an occasion. So I do hope that all of you listening, wherever you are in the world, we do have listeners in over 120 countries, and I do hope that you are able to find your local feed of the Women's Rugby World Cup and enjoy it wherever you are. Enjoy the game, enjoy the contest, and enjoy just everything that goes with the playing of a World Cup final. So Bella McKenzie, thank you so much for giving up your time again to be with us. And to the Rugby Unity crowd, please keep the comments coming. Please keep the questions coming as well. Please keep the support coming. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Do whatever you can to help us to be found on, whether it's on Substack, YouTube, any of the podcasts, and all of the social media stuff as well, the TikToks, the Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is that you are getting your content, please, if you can find us and get involved. We have one very simple and very clear mission here at Rugby Unity. It's all about helping secure the future prosperity of rugby union around the world. So we're looking at things on the field, we're looking at things off the field, and we need your involvement if indeed we are going to successfully, over the years to come, prosecute that very deliberate and clear mission. But anyway, a big thanks to all of you. A big thanks to our expert, Wallaroo, Bella McKenzie. But please, people, for the moment, be kind to each other. My name is David Pembroke, and it's bye for now.